Yeah. Well, Karen, many of us today woke up to not only hashtags and headlines, but also blood, gruesome imagery of these two shootings that happened back to back in such a short amount of time. And it's really led a lot of people to ask the question, how many more videos, how many more images are we going to see? We've seen some imagery of aftermath. One thing that stands out is Eric Garner. Eric Garner was a Staten Island man who he died. He was in a chokehold. I spoke to his daughter, Erica, and she said, she felt like the death of her father, Eric Garner, really gave a green light to police officers that it was okay to treat civilians this way. So I think it really just has raised the question of how many more videos do we have to see? And that's why so many people are speaking out. You really can't turn away from it. And I mean, even John Lewis, he spoke out today saying, it looked more like an execution. It was a really unique, because to see the Facebook Live feed, I mean, we've seen kind of video of the aftermath, but to watch it play out on Facebook Live, it almost didn't look real. It looked like it could have been, a film project. And I think many celebrities are also speaking out today. They're using their platform. I mean, Beyonce's entire website has been taken over with a message saying we don't need sympathy, we need everyone to respect our lives. And so, this is a plea to not only to police officers, but to anyone who values human life. And that's one point that a lot of people are using their platforms today to speak up on. Amber Riley, popular actress from Glee, from The Wiz Live, also, wrote an essay for us today saying that even as a celebrity, she still feels fear for herself and her family. She knows that as a black woman, just looking at her skin color, she's concerned. I think there's a bit of a mixed reaction. This is reality, this is real life, and this is our reality. It's hard to watch. These images are hard to watch. I've used a disclaimer on some of the imagery myself. And then for parents who are seeing this, and children, young children and older children who are seeing these images in their timeline, I think it kind of just leads to how do families talk to their kids about this? Because I think it is our responsibility as journalists to show these images and to have them available. And I think the next step is, that talk, having the talk. Many families, tonight and through the weekend are going to be figuring out how to discuss, behavior around police officers with their children. That's a tough one. I think depending on the age of your child, we did have a mother, Chandra Thomas, who wrote a piece for us today, asking, her children are young, and they pointed to the TV and said, "Who is that?" And she told him his name. His name was Alton Sterling, and she left it at that. So I think it's kind of depending on the age, not shielding the children and keeping them in a bubble is really what experts are saying, but really having them have the tools so that they're not afraid of the police. I mean, it's tough though. How do you have that conversation with them saying, don't be afraid, when this imagery is out there? So it really is dependent on age. When you're out there and you're a teenager carrying yourself in the streets, it's a tough conversation to have at any dinner table. Well, I know that in both cities, in Baton Rouge, as well as in Minneapolis, civil rights leaders, many Black Lives Matter groups, younger activists are definitely taking to the streets and also holding peaceful vigils. A lot of people are also just saying, let's talk about this. If you can't be there in person, if you can't show up, just kind of raising your voice and speaking out about it and, raising the awareness is what we need to do.